Hello, and we're back for Quantum Human Revelations. And this is the November energy reading, the Ascension energy reading for November. So if you remember, I said last week that I was going to take a break. So if you missed me last week, that's where I was, taking a break. And we're going to be only doing the first Monday of the month. So that's today. And I think something like the 4th of December, I think, is the December date. And then I'll be back in the new year. And all I'm doing at the moment is giving you guys ascension updates so that you can at least keep up. So we won't be going in depth through like what we did last time was I gave you the update. And then over the next few weeks, we went in depth into each of the topics so we could dig a bit deeper. So today I'm only going to give you the highlights. And it's quite a juicy month, I think. There's a lot to understand and to really think deeply about, because as the ascension energies are speeding up, the reaction on how we believe things about spirituality, about ourselves, about the world, all of that has a bigger impact than ever before. So I'm just going to get YouTube's. Yeah, there it is. We have a chat. Didn't play up today. I was kind of expecting a bit more because it's all been a bit glitchy. So welcome. Grab yourself a cup of tea or whatever your beverage is and come and join us. Bring a journal. And remember, it's not about necessarily understanding what I say. It's about allowing what I say to enter you as a seed and allowing that to take its own time to blossom so that by the time, maybe in a week or a month's time, it'll open up and give you some insights. Because when we're working with divine intelligence, it's not always an immediate update, which is what I've always said. When I do these, I don't even know the fullness of what I'm saying. But by passing them on now, hopefully somebody will get an early access to that energy, which is better than having it later. So we might as well all get on this bus sooner so we can enjoy the journey more. So if anybody's watching on YouTube, let me have a hello so I can see that I'm live and that you guys can see me. And we've got, again, people with us on Zoom so that we can have a chat there too. If you're interested in joining us on the Zoom part, then do message me and I can get you a link for the 6th. No, I keep saying the 6th. It's the 6th today, the 4th of December. So we've only got 30 minutes and it's a juicy topic. And what I'm going to do, I think, is my approach today is to go as a summary over the energies that we've got. And then once I've done that, we'll go into one area, which is all about the white lies. So the overview of November's energies, I think I mentioned them when I saw you 2 weeks ago. It's not so much about planting the seed. It's almost like the seed has been planted. We're at that point where another shift is occurring. Some people are calling it a new timeline, but the timeline came in like last summer. So it's been there a while. This is more about us changing who we are so we can match it. So it's kind of that decision point of, do I get on this bus or do I get on a different bus? And this is the stage that we're at. And the seed that we planted is obviously the seed of our great vision of what we're here to do, of what we're going to do next, the next version of us, because all visioning work starts with knowing who you are and what you have as your potential and what your limits and your beliefs are, and then learning how to work with those so that you can keep birthing new versions of yourself effectively. So the kind of theme this month is the seed is planted, therefore we need to now bring all the resources together, because that fits the Taurus full moon, bring all the resources together to nurture that seed so it can grow. And that includes protection. You know, it's winter time, so like you put a greenhouse over your plants, it's the same kind of concept here. We need to protect it, we need to nurture it, we need to make sure that it's got everything it needs to grow. Now, obviously the seed is in our body, so what we're talking about here is body care and self-care and energy protection, which is why the energy attacks was part of what I said I'd speak about tonight. So if we know that the human body now is playing catch up to the energy, to the timeline, to the ascension waves, then what we're starting to look at is things like body movement, breath work, nervous system resetting is going to be really important. And I have a meditation for that on my channel if you need access to that. What you eat, who you hang out with, what energy you're expending and what you're getting back in return. All of these typical self-care type practices are going to be what you need to observe this month and see what works and what doesn't. Because we're trying to get your soul comfortable in your body. So the energy was saying that last month was all about this potential of a great awakening, that we were spiritually ascending into profound ways. And we saw all the posts about it saying how things were shifting so quickly. And back in the summer, we spoke about how time is speeding up and how we can kind of have this snake and ladder experience where you go shooting up a ladder and suddenly get 10 versions ahead of yourself, and then suddenly go shooting back down a ladder and then feel like you're not getting anywhere at all. And time is acting a bit like this. But the side effect of that is if I suddenly shoot up 10 versions of myself, that's a lot of processing to keep up with. And the body's got to go up 10 versions too. My beliefs have to change, my limits, and removing my limitation has to be part of my work to keep me moving up. So the energy was saying, you know, that we've had this new beginning, we've got this amazing energy now around us, and it was this energy of a sunrise, which is the illumination of us stepping into our divinity of what we're here to do. And that kind of explains where we've been. There's always one card that represents the what have we been through and did we manage it kind of card. The theme for this month is fresh air, and air represents intellect and space and freshness and uplifting of ourselves. So this will be my first question to you all today. Just tune into what fresh air would feel like and let me know in the comments how you would describe that. So fresh air, how does fresh air feel to you? And then just imagine that feeling washing over you. So we've got crisp, freedom, spaciousness. Just imagine it kind of flowing over you, and then notice how you feel. Because we want this to be a physical reaction, not just a mental thought. How does it make your body feel when we let that air, soothing, uplifting? Yeah, because uplifting could be like the air underneath your wings even, couldn't it? Expansive. So air is a very simple word, but it creates quite a potent feeling, quite a big frequency experience. So that's the frequency we need to hold this next month. So whatever decisions you have to make, whatever choices, if it doesn't feel like fresh air, I know it sounds weird, but if it doesn't feel like fresh air, then don't do it. So that's going to be your deciding factor over the next month. So for our illumination to rise, we need to make choices that are fresh air, fresh ideas, fresh, like a detox, cleansing, uplifting, rather than that heavy, dense energy. And the card here is quite interesting because it's, I'll show you the picture. Because if you remember, we talked about the end of October being the Crystalline Earth Angels. And the card that we have here, if it'll show, is very much an angel, an earth angel. So that kind of says that, you know, to become an earth angel, what we were talking about is that master of heaven and earth frequencies and being able to do things with it. And this fresh air is the kind of state we need to be in to do that. So the outlook then becomes becoming a powerful light worker. Now, remember, a lot of my work's not about teaching people how to be healers as such. I want us to not need healers anymore. I want us to be individual people who, just like learning reading and writing, learn energy management, learn how to use our visioning skills, how to use our manifesting skills in normal everyday situations, just like it's a normal skill, like reading and writing. So when this says light worker, I don't see this as a healer type, you know, going off and learning different modalities of healing or Akashic records or anything like that. What I see this light worker as being is this earth angel, this being that is able to bring down the higher dimensional energies from the ascension down through our bodies and then help feed it into the earth by transmuting it and reformatting it into the format that the earth wants. And that is light work, if you think about it. You know, if we take away the old meaning of what light work means, to work with light, to work with air, to bring all those elements through us, we are therefore being light workers. And the heaven and earth aspect of that needs us to become, and Virgo was the other card that went with this, which is when we're at the esoteric sign of Virgo, we're becoming a divine vessel for birth. So we're becoming pure, we're becoming like an amazing womb for creation. And again, last month we had that cosmic womb energy as well. So we're becoming a womb for creation, but we're becoming a pure channel. So we're removing any toxicity out of our bodies. We're removing any toxic people. We're doing better health practices. And it's about being very diligent and ritualistic about our health, which is why I said it's more to do with our bodies this month. So it's about really working what practices, what spiritual practices, what good health practices help you become that pure vessel, so that we can really channel this energy without it distorting or impacting us. So that's the outlook that we're going to try and get to by the end of November. So the challenge for this month is the big one, and it's to do with Orion. Now, this is quite an interesting energy, and I won't have time to go into the depths of it, but I read that Orions were the original light workers on the planet. As we were talking about moving into the light workers, it was quite interesting that this was the challenge. But when I started looking into the meaning of the Orion installation and the constellation, it wasn't a very nice character. They were banished up there because they kept taking and overpowering women and threatened that they knew how to kill every animal on Earth. So the character didn't seem like it was too exciting for me. It was very negative. Then I learned that the dog of Orion was Sirius, which is our spiritual sun. And the thought of it having like a leash around the spiritual sun again didn't make it feel so good for me. And then I discovered that Orion killed Taurus. And Taurus, we were working on this month as the full moon, was all about us learning how to manage our resources, how to be able to take what is available on the planet and transform it into the resources we need to serve the divine, to become the light worker, to help with this ascension process. So if Orion is there and it's blocking us doing that, then it wasn't a good sign for me overall. Now, you guys can check in if you think Orion is like, we talk about star seeds that come from Orion and say they were the original light workers and they were benevolent. But I was getting that there was another aspect in there that was a bit more trickery orientated. So interesting as well, Orion has the star cloud. So it's the star nursery. And we know that, life on Earth is made from the star dust, just like anything. But Orion, as part of its nebula, has the star center where stars are created inside it. So again, Orion is acting almost like a block, stopping us accessing all the resources we needed. And if that wasn't enough, then I discovered that Mintaka, which is one of the stars within Orion's belt, has been blown up within this time frame, which condemned us all to live within a denser 3D environment than we could manifest. So I think this all kind of represents the challenge this month, is to break our contracts with Orion and move forward and start seeing things differently with new perspectives, hence the air. So apply the air to that, and what would you see instead? How would you become free from these old limited views? The strength we have is, again, going back to where we started the podcast, creative energy. It's orange rays connecting into this power within us to nurture ourselves, to heal ourselves, to activate our sexual energy. Because if we're not in our bodies, we're not connected to our sexual energy. And that sexual energy is what is linked to our life force and our creative energy. So if all of that is not working properly, then we're always going to feel like we're not supposed to be on the planet. We're going to feel like we're being threatened, or we're not safe, or that we can't have our resources needs met so that we can be safe to live, to eat, to have the things we need. So the orange rays is alluding to that nurturing, paying attention to doing whatever you need to do to protect your creative energy from attack. The advice for the month was about your enabling habits. So this is a blind spot. These are usually quite powerful cards when they come. So the blind spot is something you can't see about yourself. It's something that you're doing that you have no clue is bad for you. Now, this blind spot is about enabling. And this is where the white lies come in. And this is the section I want to talk about a bit more later. So how are you enabling yourself to stay playing small? How are you enabling yourself to stop you expanding? How are you enabling yourself to be trapped within that Orion energy, as opposed to the more expansive version of who you could be? So that's what the next, the advice is going to be, is trying to work out how you enable yourself to be something that you're not. So when we talk about enabling, generally, it's much easier to see how we enable other people. So if you have a child that's sick and you don't make them go to school because you feel sorry for them, then you're enabling them, telling them that it's, no, sorry, not that. If they want to stay home sick, well, they're not, because they've got a test. I should say that's the kind of setup. They have a test at school and they say, I'm sick, and they want to stay home, and you know they're not sick. Then enabling them to stay home when there's a test is not necessarily in the highest good. And it's that kind of tough love response that might be better. So just to give you like a person example. Now, how does that relate to what you do for yourself? That's the key question. And the final next steps is about the Phoenix. So we've had loads of Phoenix cards coming up. Obviously, you know, we did the full moon in Scorpio, which is about that kind of rising up through the different layers till we become that ascended Phoenix, the death and rebirth cycles. But what this card really represented to me was that, going back to the time concept, the more time speeds up, the quicker our Phoenix experiences are going to be. We're going to go around really quickly, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. Now, as we're going through those cycles, we have to go through letting go. Now, we all know we're not brilliant at change and letting go. Humans are really bad at that. And now we're saying that maybe after the last few months, we've had an amazing gift given to us, and we're holding that gift in our hand going, yay, I finally got. And then the Phoenix comes along and says, time to throw it away, time to be reborn and start on the next level. And we might not want to let go. We might want to cling to it because we're going, but we've only just got it. But the thing is, what this card is telling us is that the reason we're going through this is because there's something better for you. Let it go, because yes, you might have been desperate for that, but there is something better and bigger on the other side. So how are you guys with change and letting things go in that kind of circumstance? Let me know in the chat. How are you with change and letting go? Oh, so we are having some tech glitches then. The chat comments keep disappearing for me. I was wondering why everybody was so quiet. I wonder if it's going to not to everyone. But it would make sense why everybody's so quiet, because my computer's been glitching all day, and that would be the energy attacks, which we'll talk about in a moment. So while you're thinking about your, oh, here we go. I'm sure I struggle, and then I catch myself, sigh, and try to correct myself. So now imagine, you know, that was hard in the past. That was hard in the past. I got it. So yeah, beautiful chat. Okay. It was hard in the past when we had months between each upgrade, but now imagine on this faster timeline where it's happening more often. And it's going to feel really destabilizing. So it's keeping that center, looking after our bodies, connecting to our creative energy, trusting, keeping our connection to the divine, that kind of higher wisdom that we're on some divine plan. We might not know what that is, but we will get there. We're just going through phases. All of that is going to be really important this month. The last message of the Phoenix is to do with celebrating, because even though we're dying and rebirthing, we should celebrate each of these, because we're moving into a new version of ourselves every more. Oh, cool. We've got some messages coming through on YouTube. The more you let go, the easier it becomes. Yeah. And say it's going to become like, if you want to ascend, you better get good at change and letting go. And really work on your body. And, you know, it's some of the practical sides of the ascension. So yeah, so the Phoenix is about that celebration and really appreciating that you are here today because of that old version of you, no matter how bad that old version was, no matter how many mistakes they made, no matter what they, you know, what you disagreed with or feel shame about, all of those were the lessons that was needed for you to get here. So celebrate that, you know, and it's interesting because I was talking to somebody this week about a part of my life where things didn't go so well. And it's kind of like in a cupboard as a dirty secret. And I said to her, I said, I feel like it's getting to a point where I almost have to write it like a movie and celebrate it. You know, how many movies have we watched where things weren't going so good and we thought it was a great movie, you know? And yet when it happens to us in our own life, we're kind of more critical of ourselves and we kind of push it away and think, you know, it's not going to be a good thing for us, so we're not going to tell people about it. And it just felt like I needed to share it in a way that was more celebrating it, even though it was a total mess time in my life and awful, really, really bad, but just sharing it and celebrating it. And I think that's what the Phoenix kind of card is representing, is that energy. So change is appealing at the moment. Good. Yeah. But do whatever you have to do when your mindset. I always like to think of change as an adventure and see it as some sort of Indiana Jones or any kind of movie that you feel like, you know, you're going through challenges and you're overcoming them in order to see something new. And when we look at change like that, sometimes it's a little bit easier to hold and to process that. Oh, we might be getting a visitor in a minute. He's just come to visit me. Hey, that's okay. So the thing is, I think from this energy is, whilst we're coming out of a huge spiritual break, we do need now to work on our bodies to be able to keep. He's just sat on my notes. Thank you, making that noise. We just need to be able to break into that body awareness now to be able to hold the new frequencies that are coming in. So now we come back to enabling and the energy attacks. Yeah, something's woken the cats up. So now we'll come back to the enabling and the energy attacks. So it's interesting that when it comes to enabling, some of the areas where this has happened the worst is in our spiritual practices. It's something that I've never been one to be attracted to an awful lot of spiritual classes. I tended always to be attacked, so therefore I would kind of like keep away if I didn't feel I was safe to go in there. But I also wondered, and I've said this in some of the podcasts previously, that I wondered if the reason I didn't get drawn to that lifestyle was because it's a more pure vessel to receive new ideas that hasn't been corrupted or been programmed in a certain way, depending on whatever spiritual wave we were in. And it feels like when I talk about awakening these quantum humans, it's the same. They don't have that same background where they've been going through various trainings. They are almost like, it's about becoming natural, because naturally we can do this. And sometimes by going to different classes and different workshops and different experiences, we end up gathering more spiritual gunk that blocks us from doing it naturally than if we try to do it on our own. Now, it doesn't mean we don't need classes and things, we do, but I think it's more, the power comes from having a class where you are shown how to use your abilities as opposed to being taught somebody else's modality, where you get to experience who you are without somebody actually like saying, let me alter your energy system so you can become a healer or become a light worker or go through a spiritual ascension process. Because all those things can only happen from within you. And it's you that enables it, not somebody else. Now, I'm sure we can think of different examples where we've had maybe situations spiritually where we've been in and thought that doesn't feel right. So think of that in terms of enabling. Do we get attracted to the wrong healer, to the wrong books, to the wrong videos, because it's trying to hold us back from stepping into our power? And because we know that there is no them and us, we've contracted into this on some level, then we have to look at ourselves and go, well, how am I enabling this to happen? And what am I frightened of? If I stopped enabling this, what am I frightened of? So we know that when we enable something, you know, there's usually a secondary gain, even though we feel like we're holding us back. Maybe we get safety instead. Maybe we get to keep our family instead. Maybe we keep our job instead. You know, there's lots of different things we do that are enabling a bad result, but get something on the side instead. So we're going to want to look at that to really understand whether we're doing it on a money-related basis. You know, are we frightened of money, or have we set up some beliefs or limitations, white lies that we tell ourselves that makes it sound true, but isn't? Have we done it with our relationships? Like, have we stayed in relationships thinking it was us and that we needed to help fix this person instead of ending the relationship and moving on? So these are the kind of white lies we're trying to find out this month. So this whole month, if you're going to dedicate yourself to this body work and breath work and movement, also dedicate yourself just to noticing where you might be enabling yourself. So it feels like we're at this kind of tipping point where, oh, it's not tipping point, let's call it a level, because it feels like we're at an illumination level where the next notch up, if we can get out of this enabling and go the next notch up, we're going to be crossing that point where we are stepping above the 50% mark of our power. I'm not saying it's going to be 50%, but just think of it like that. Like we're just below the 50 mark now, and we're just going to tip the balance a little and move up into that top range over the 50%. And the problem is when a lot of humanity is doing that, then the dark energies all start getting a little bit edgy and active. And the thing they're going to use against us is our things that we use for enabling ourselves. That's our weak point. Because in the spiritual battle of light and dark, it's all a consensual kind of battle. There's an element where we've somehow contracted into things unknowingly, unconsciously, that we can let go of. But enabling is one of those subconscious contracts that can also bring those energies in. So that's why the enabling part is so important this month for the energy attacks. Now, I like to think of this as a war. I don't like the battle or name war, but I like the idea of thinking of this like the old art of war kind of concept. You know, there's a lot of things going on that we can see, and sometimes that's the distraction, but the true manipulation comes through the subtle. When you're not looking, it's the thing you haven't got your eye on because it's not dramatic, it's not big, it's not. And often whenever I've been undoing any contracts that I've done, then it's the really, really subtle ones that, you know, you can hardly notice you've done it. It's the wording is so subtle. And that's why we're looking for the enabling. So how does that sound to you guys? Does any of that make sense? If any things that you guys enable yourself to do come up as a concept? Jenny's saying exciting to the 50% part. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 50%, but whatever that number is, it's important. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting so many attacks. So just to give people a bit of, so interesting, got to look at enabling, yeah. Well, so usually the cards are right. When it says that, it'll give us more information as the month goes by. You know, that's what we work on in the membership. We carry on working on this. But it's quite interesting that enabling was the word. So it's quite interesting that, you know, with the dark energies that are playing up, how do you know you're being attacked? So you know you're being attacked because it may be exhausted, you might have accidents, things might go wrong, you might suddenly feel despondent and you don't know why, you can feel tired, you can feel like your personality shifted, you can lose your interest or your drive in what you were doing. You might just have physical attacks where keys break in locks or cars break down so you can't get somewhere. So they can happen in lots of different ways. Sometimes it happens in dream times, and it can be quite dramatic there. It can happen through people around you. It can happen through videos. You know, I could have this now by people watching it, could easily send energy through without even realizing it. So there's lots of ways it can come through, but the key is not to be afraid, not to put up protection. Because if we really are as powerful as we can be, which is why we're crossing over this 50% mark, we're stepping into the divinity, a divine, and we're rising up out of the fear. Because we can transmute negative energy. We can collect it up, transmute it, and turn it into something else. Yes, there'll always be a certain amount of darkness that has to exist, but we can also approach the attacks in this way and look at it as, well, okay, yeah, I'm feeling tired, something's attacking me. Don't fret about it. Go, okay, so there must be something I can fix in my body. Let's use that as an example to find out what I can fix. And you fix it, and then you wait to see what happens next. And we keep going through. And that in itself is a different version of yourself, because you're strengthening your energy system and body so you can hold more energy. Because as we go through this ascension, the higher up we go, then obviously the more interest that the dark will have in us, and we will get more attacks. So by doing this approach of working on the body, using the attacks as a mirror that we can use to find where in our energy system, going to your favorite healers that you trust to help watch your energy system to see if they can find holes too. All of this now will be a really good exercise for this month. So, yeah, going to look at enabling. So I guess we can ask you guys. So what we've done is we've pulled cards to help us work out give us a clue on what we might be doing that's enabling. And it's hard. It's always hard when you ask, like, find me a card that will help show me where I'm enabling something bad in my life. Then you have to have quite a lot of logic to work out a card which isn't always aimed at that kind of question. But it can be done, and it can give you quite good insights. It just takes a little bit of meditation on it to help that process. So somebody said their card was take a break, for example. Yes, had lots of stuff happening in the past week. Can't think of it now, but there is enabling somewhere. So, you know, one-to-one work can also help get to the enabling habits much quicker. And focusing on your body kind of will give you quite a good, like if you use body testing, it'll give you a good result for sensing into when you're being attacked. Like I said, with the tiredness and all those other things. And I find sometimes when your body testing isn't working, it's because you're not grounded. And if you're not grounded, this might be because you're being attacked, or not enough of your soul is in your body because you've zipped out because there feels like there's too much stress around you, which again is a form of attack. So your body kind of really is a good indicator. And whilst we often think, you know, that the body is a weakness in our spiritual journey, it is key for ascension that we are in our bodies, because we are meant to be here combining heaven and earth, body and soul, and putting the two together to work in a new, powerful way. And working out, our human brains and our personality is here to work out how to do that, not how to stop it happening. And that's what we've been working on all year, really, is how to get that personality to work for the soul, not against it. How to get that soul into the body and help the body be more resilient and healthy in that state. How to help us get through attacks, through criticism, through narcissism, through whatever happens in our external world. How to get our bodies strong to get through this. Because you can imagine, if we're going up that essential ladder, it's going to get not so much worse, but it's going to get more intense. So we need that extra scaffolding, that extra strength in our bodies, so that we can then take the next level that'll come in the next stages of ascension. So that's it for today. I know it's a lot to get through, so I hope that's given you some ideas at the very least. And if you are interested in working with this kind of energy more often with us, then I do have a membership. We're mostly, the first level is where we work on the personality and soul, and really getting to know how those two work together and how to make them work in a more coherent, balanced way, and how to start moving out of personality desires, personality needs, personality thoughts, into soulful, and then finally into being a channel for the divine. So that's what we do once a month at the full moon. And the next full moon will be the 28th of November. I think I got the right date. And that one will be Gemini. We'll be working on the Gemini. So we'll be looking at the traits of what Gemini means, which is mostly about communication, where your words are your wand, which, you know, we've already had Aries where we create in the mind. Now we're going to start using our words more powerfully. And we'll be learning those lessons on the 28th of November. So always message me. There's details in the bottom of the videos if you're interested in any of that. I'll be back on the 4th of December for the December energy updates. And yeah, I kind of wish you, I wish you find everything that you've been enabling yourself to do badly. That sounds like the wrong kind of wish. But I hope you do find those like kinks in your armor that can be knocked out. No, I don't even want to use the word armor. I just want you to be able to be your full, powerful self, to realize that there are great things waiting for us, and we just need to upgrade the body to get there. I think that's what I want to wish for you. So I'll see you all in a month's time, and I hope you all keep safe and keep working on getting to know yourself and becoming the most powerful version of you. Bye, guys.